we're taught that hard work equals wealth. But that's not always true. In fact, what I have learned from working with literally thousands of people to help them transform their financial reality is this: working too hard can actually block you from receiving the money you desire. So today we are talking all about the receiving mode. The receiving mode is the state you want to be in order to easily and effortlessly manifest money and ditch all the burnout and hustle that we traditionally associate with making money. I'm so excited to chat about this with you because there is nothing better, truly, than getting paid while you sleep or having opportunities for abundance and money to come to you when you're with your loved ones or on vacation. So grab some tea, some coffee, some water, your drink of choice, get cozy, and let's chat. I first heard the term receiving mode when I started listening to Abraham Hicks and their teachings over a decade ago. And this concept profoundly changed not just my life and my income, but also my relationship with money. When I first heard about the receiving mode, I was working so hard to try to make money at the time it was in my day job, and then later on I saw myself repeating this pattern in my business. And as hard as I worked, I was always struggling to make enough money to get by. Even though employers told me I was their best employee and they were giving me promotions, but with really little raises, I felt like no matter how hard I worked, I couldn't get ahead financially. And this wasn't just something in my job or in my business. This was something that I realize now had been conditioned into me over my entire life, right? Like, how often do we hear that the path to success, the way to be financially stable or free in our society, is to go to school and work hard in school to get good grades so that you can then go to university and get into a good university and work hard there to then go on and be employed. And that was exactly what I did. I was a straight A student. I worked so hard. I even went to an Ivy League school for my graduate studies. I thought that I was following what I had to do in order to make money. I was working hard to get to that end result, which is having all the money you desire, all the financial freedom you want. That's kind of what's promised to us in our society and in our culture. But I quickly found out as I got out of school and into the working world and into the corporate world that no matter how hard I worked and no matter how good of a job I did, that didn't always guarantee that I was going to be financially stable or secure, or that I was going to ever reach the amount of wealth and freedom and security that I desired. So when I stumbled upon Abraham Hicks and their teachings and started learning about what they called the receiving mode and starting to apply it to my life and find my own definition of it, I started to see miraculous things happen within a very short amount of time, within months of applying it. By using the receiving mode, I very quickly doubled my corporate salary. And then I used this principle again when I was in my business several years later and trying to get it off the ground and struggling to make barely $2,000 a month in my business. And as I started to apply the receiving mode and the principles of that and be in that state more often, my income in my business jumped up almost overnight, like in the course of a month, from $2K to $20K months in my business. In the most recent years, I have heard the term receiving mode thrown around quite a bit in different areas of the spiritual and law of attraction communities. So when I talk about the receiving mode here in this video and in my other content, I want to be clear with you on what I mean by that. When I talk about the receiving mode, especially when it comes to manifesting money, what I am talking about is being an energetic match to receive money. Now, this isn't about being an energetic match to make money. This is being an energetic match to receive money. Those are two very different things. These are really the two main modes you can be in when it comes to money, generally speaking. So that first mode is what I call action mode. And action mode is also often viewed as masculine energy, but it's the state of being where you are taking action. You are doing things in the physical world to try to make or create opportunities for money to come to you. When you're in action mode, you are taking action. You are working, you are networking, you are doing things in your physical 3D reality to try to create opportunities for money or have money come to you. The second mode is, of course, our receiving mode. And when we're in our receiving mode, this is what people equate to being in that more feminine energy, especially around money. So when you're in the receiving mode, you're not going out there and taking actions to try to make money happen or make money come to you. Instead, you are allowing yourself to receive the money that you have generated or created opportunities for when you were in your masculine or action mode energy. Now, let's be clear. You need both energies. You need both action mode and receiving mode, masculine and feminine energy, to make and then receive money. But most people spend too much time in one mode or the other. And what I've found in over 5 years of working with people on this sort of thing is that most people, the majority of our society, is too often in action mode around money. In fact, I recently put up a poll for the members inside of my Wealth Vibe membership, which is a membership where we cover different spiritual modalities for money manifestation. And I gave them 5 different options of topics that they would like to focus on diving deep into inside of the membership over the coming months. And 60% of them, the majority of them, said that they felt like they most needed to work on the ability to be in the receiving mode, the ability to be in that energetic state where you are allowing money to come to you, because so many of them feel like they're working way too much and still not seeing the results they want. The reason that so many of us feel like we don't know how to relax and receive around money, and that we are always working toward it and maybe not always seeing the results we want around it, is because of our societal conditioning and hustle culture around money. And this is, sadly, one of the biggest ways that people block abundance from coming to them. Now, some of you watching this might be in receiving mode too much, and you might be like, I'm not taking enough action, I'm not doing enough, and I know that. That's fine, just know that that's not the majority of the world. But it's a different problem all unto itself, a different kind of block with money, and that's a discussion for another time. Now, to better give you an idea of how the receiving mode works, I'm going to use an analogy to illustrate the concept here, and then I will give you my top tips for actually getting into the receiving mode, because I definitely want you to be able to unlock the secret of being able to manifest money with ease. It's the best feeling. So the analogy we're going to run with here is the act of growing a flower. So if you are a gardener like me, then you will, of course, get this immediately. And for those of you who aren't, it's pretty simple. I think this will help it click into place for you of how the receiving mode actually works when it comes to receiving money. So when we think about growing a flower, you have to take a bunch of actions in order to grow a flower, right? You have to maybe go buy or find the seeds you want. You have to sometimes make amendments to the soil. You have to make sure the soil is good to grow it in. You then need to plant the seed. You sometimes might have to do some research to find when the best time is to plant the seed, what time of year, in what kind of amount of sunlight it needs to be in. And then once you've planted it, you have to water it and maybe clear weeds away, or even maybe put down some fertilizer or spray for bugs or whatever it is that you need to do to give it the best growing conditions it can have, the best chance at growing and blooming into a flower. So things like that, the researching, the going out and buying things, the doing the work to get everything ready, the planting of the seed, that's all action mode. You're taking actions in the physical world. But then once you have prepped everything and you've planted the seed and you've watered it, you now have to switch into receiving mode. You have to take a step back and kind of almost forget about it for a little bit. You have to go do something else. You have to take your attention away from the plant. Because if you continue to sit there and stare at the plant and wait for it to grow, and you keep looking at it and trying to force it to happen, you keep overwatering it or digging around it to see if it's gotten roots yet, you will end up killing the flower. You will end up blocking it from growing and blooming. If you worry about whether the results you want, whether that's the bloom of a flower or a certain amount of money hitting your bank account, if you worry about that and do a bunch of things to try to force or control it to come into fruition, and you're so worried that maybe it won't, then all of that overworking, all of that being way too much in the action mode results in you actually self-fulfilling that worry and blocking what it is that you desire. So this is true for gardening, and it's true for money. It's true for a lot of things in life. If you stress and work all the time to try to make money, you're never allowing space for money to flow to you, to actually catch up with you. You're never creating space for it to come to you. You're never allowing it room to flow into your life. And you definitely aren't stopping and opening yourself up to seeing all the different possibilities and ways it could come to you. You're so fixated on it being this one way and that you have to control it and make it happen just so. So that's what it looks like when you're in action mode too much. When you're doing too much. This is how we end up blocking so much of the abundance that's available to us. So how do you actually get into the receiving mode and start receiving money with ease? How you do it is simple in theory, but a little bit more complicated in practice. So here's the big secret. How you get into receiving mode is simply by relaxing. You have to stop working so much and make space to receive everything that you've worked to manifest, all of that money, all of that abundance. You have to rest and relax. Now here's the catch though, and this is so important for you to grasp. When I say relax, I mean fully relax physically and mentally. Typically when I say you need to relax, people envision watching TV or reading a book or laying on a beach drinking Mai Tais or sunbathing or going to the spa, and that's all great. Those are great ways, if that works for you, to physically relax. But where most people struggle is mentally relaxing. I want you to think about when you do physically relax, like if you binge a show on TV, or if you go out for dinner with your friends, or you go on vacation, or do some sort of self-care activity. When you are relaxing, in whatever way that it looks like for you physically, what's going on mentally? In the back of your head, are you stressing about money? Are you thinking about, oh my gosh, am I gonna have enough to pay the bills? Or I hope money comes in soon, or I hope someone buys for me, or I hope I get that call back from that job? Or are you kind of making a mental to-do list of all the things you need to do in order to make more money? Are you kind of mulling over ideas for your business while you're relaxing? Are you kind of mentally worrying about the future around money? What are you doing mentally, whether it's at the forefront of your mind or kind of in the back of your mind? What are you doing mentally while you're relaxing? Most people are mentally working in some way. They are mentally in action mode, so they're not fully in the receiving mode. This is where most people get stuck. Really, so many people are not even aware of how often they're mentally working when they think they're fully relaxing, but it's just on the physical level. The amount of time most people spend fully, truly in the receiving mode is very, very little. And I get it, I've been there. It can be really, really hard to rewire your brain to stop mentally working all the time. So if that's you, then I want to offer you this next piece of advice to help you mentally relax and fully get into that receiving mode so that you can actually start receiving all of that abundance that you've been working so hard to create for yourself. So the tip here is to shift your mindset about how you look at relaxation. Most of us think we have to earn the right to relax. I know this is something that I struggled with for a long time and still find myself backsliding into if I'm not careful. It's really deeply wired into us. We treat relaxation as a reward for working hard. But in order for us to actually call in the money we desire with ease, we have to shift our way of looking at relaxation. We have to start seeing relaxation as something that is just as important as working, if not more so. There are a lot of ways that you can start to make this shift around how you look at relaxation, but one of my favorite ways to do so is with the following mantra: relaxation is productive and profitable. This is hands down my favorite mantra that has transformed me so much the more that I've affirmed it over the last decade or more. And the reason why this is such a powerful mantra is because when you think about it, relaxation is truly productive. When you relax mentally and physically, the more you rest and recharge. And in doing so, you get out of fight or flight mode or stress around money. And when you do that, you start getting inspired and you have ideas, new ideas that never occurred to you before for ways that you could make money or have money come to you. And then also because you've been resting, once you have these exciting, inspired ideas, you now have the energy to go act on them and take that aligned action and back them up. Repeating this mantra, using it as an affirmation, and saying to yourself over and over, relaxation is productive and profitable. Over time, that can help you shift to prioritize relaxing in your life, which is what we need in order to get into the receiving mode. Now, I do want to make a note here that there is no set amount of time that you need to spend relaxing or being in that receiving mode every day versus action mode. Everyone is so different, and that balance of how often someone needs to be in action mode versus receiving mode is going to look totally different for different people. So some people really thrive with being in action mode like 80% of their waking hours and only 20% of the time being in receiving mode. Whereas other people do better with being in receiving mode about half the time and action mode another half time. It's completely unique to you. So you've really got to play with being in the receiving mode regularly for a different amount of times and see what the right balance is for you. I do suggest starting, if you are kind of new to actually relaxing in this way, where you're not mentally working and you're aware of actually making sure you're mentally relaxed and therefore fully in that receiving mode energy, I would recommend starting with being in the receiving mode for about 15 minutes a day, every day. And then once you've mastered that, because it can be hard to actually get your mind to relax if you're not in the habit of doing it, once you've mastered those 15 minutes a day, then look at your financial reality and see if anything shifted. If not, if it's not going the direction you want, you're not seeing the changes you want, then start upping your relaxation time, or maybe prioritizing bigger chunks of relaxation time every few days instead of every day. Again, play with it and find what works for you. Now, I will acknowledge that this is all easier said than done. So in the coming days, I have a bunch of new videos coming out for you that are going to help you in different ways get into this receiving mode via relaxation. So if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of those videos. And if you want to go deeper into mastering this art of being in the receiving mode and manifesting money via relaxation and rest, definitely come join me inside of the Wealth Vibe membership. You can click the link in the description below to go check that out. Next month, inside of the membership, we will be diving deep into mastering the receiving mode with a 21-day challenge to cultivate that habit of regularly being in this relaxed receiving state. I will also be creating exclusive tools and content solely for my members in the Wealth Vibe membership around the receiving mode, like a guided practice that you can use to be in that receiving mode and really get the most out of it and speed up your money manifestations and other cool stuff as well. I would love to have you come join us in there. So if you are interested, go check that out with the link in the description below. All right, that's all for today. This is your permission slip to actually relax and be in that receiving mode fully, if only for a little bit of time today. Let me know in the comments how this goes for you as you experiment with getting into and staying in the receiving mode. I can't wait to hear all about it from you, and I will talk to you very soon.